Man, the Suns, I'm so happy. I'm actually so happy. Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you, Phoenix, because you have ended the most brain-dead era of basketball ever. Let's bring all the talent together. Doesn't matter if they fit or not. Let's get all these scorers together. Let's add in 75 different scorers for only one basketball and expect it to work. Thank you, Phoenix, for ending the dumbest era of team building ever. Before we get on to the main part of the video, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers just so we can get monetized. And as soon as we do, we'll be uploading 3 to 4 basketball videos a day on this channel and a bunch of shorts. Trust me on that, lads. We're just getting started. So the Phoenix Suns made an all-in move last year around a trade deadline, and it was getting Kevin Durant, giving up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. So that wasn't a bad trade. I'm not gonna lie. You can go all in, and it's okay, because if you're looking at the structure of the Phoenix Suns team last year, Mikal Bridges was great. DeAndre Ayton, didn't like Monty Williams, but still pretty good center. You had Chris Paul, who was like an out-and-out point guard, not a true scorer, and you had Booker, who's your true scorer. That team had one dude who was like legit as a scorer. You're fine with that. You got Chris Paul running the show, who was old, but he showed the year before, especially in the regular season when the Phoenix Suns won 64 games, that he can run any offense in the league. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks, and they were not going to win the championship. They weren't playing as well in 2023. They weren't going to win the championship, so it makes sense going all in for Kevin Durant, who had come off a real good year in 2022 with Brooklyn, where he didn't have the greatest playoff series against Boston, but at the end of the day, he was still Kevin bleeping Durant. This guy was still arguably the best, one of the top 4 or 5 players in the world. So it made perfect sense to make that trade. I'm not going to go at Phoenix for that. But Phoenix were in a situation during the summer where it didn't work out. And not that it didn't even really work out. Like, when the two of them were playing really well, they were winning games. But they needed basically the two of them to combine for 70 to have a shot of winning against that Denver team. And Denver literally were had one of the most dominant playoff runs I'd ever seen. 16-4. And they were blowing teams out. And it looked like they cruised to the title last year. But they obviously needed to change something up. And Chris Paul was making a hell of a lot of money. But you're looking and you're seeing what they needed. Realistically, what they needed was a player they couldn't get in a Mikal Bridges. But they needed more depth. They didn't want DeAndre Ayton. Like, obviously, that's something that they did not want. And the DeAndre Ayton trade, I actually think, worked out for them. Like the DeAndre Ayton trade, getting yourself Grayson Allen and Jusuf Nurkic out of that whole thing. And I think they got Nazir Little as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think they got the 3 of those guys. Yeah, because I think that was part of the Dame trade. Yeah, so I think they got those 3 guys in that trade. So Grayson Allen, a good player, pretty good defender, really good shooter. He fits perfectly. Jusuf Nurkic, a little bit of a downgrade over DeAndre Ayton, because while DeAndre Ayton's not really a defender, Jusuf Nurkic is a non-existent defender. And as well as that, you have got Nazir Little giving you something off the bench. I expected a bit more from him this season, but look, it is what it is. So the Chris Paul trade, which was obviously made before that, they traded Chris Paul and picks for Bradley Beal. The Suns don't have any picks. I think they have this year's pick. I think that's their last pick till 2030. And all their other picks is they've either given them away or they've got like a pick swap. So they might get some of their own picks, but like some of the teams they have pick swaps with eventually are going to surely be good before 2030, while the Phoenix Suns are going to probably suck. And it's now looking at the stage where it's like, do you blow it up? Do you give up Kevin Durant for 3 first-round picks, for 2 or 3 first-round picks, and just hope for the best? Do you give up Bradley Beal, who has a no-trade clause as well? Like, Beal has a no-trade clause. But how did they think that this was going to work? There's only one basketball. Bradley Beal, after John Wall left, was a pretty damn good scorer. He had one of his worst seasons of his career last year. He'd been injured. He's overpaid. He's a no-trade clause. And the guy's not equipped to be a third option. We've seen it when he played for Team USA. He was terrible in the Olympics. Like, when he's not a number 1 or 2, he's not good. And honestly, he's a lot... Like, when he's not number 1, he's not particularly great. Like, he was all pretty good with Wall, but like Wall was the clear one, and when he became the clear one, the team... He looked great, but the team kind of sucked. And that's the truth about it with Beal. Like, it was never going to work. And you've paired Devin Booker with a worse Devin Booker. A worse, older, on a worse contract Devin Booker. They're paying $150 million to 3 guys next year. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? With no future. They're doomed. They're absolutely doomed. And, like, they could have... Chris Paul... Why did they not just try to find... Or just keep Chris Paul? Just keep Chris Paul. I don't care. Like, he's better than Bradley Beal. Just keep Chris Paul. He at least fit. I know he was injured. I know he hasn't been great for Golden State. But at least just keep Chris Paul if that's the alternative. But what they should have done was... If they were able to keep Chris Paul... Get Grayson Allen. If they were able to stay healthy, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Yusuf Nurkic, and find a 4. Like, they could be alright. Like, and then, like, they had... Like, Yuta Watanabe, obviously, he just had that year for Brooklyn where he was balling and, like, he was obviously never really that good. But still... At least this is the end of this stupid era of building squads. It doesn't work. 2 quote-unquote stars and elite role players is how you build a team. With the way the salary cap is right now, that is how you build a team. Doing what the Lakers did in 2020 is how you build a team. The Lakers was the worst of these, by the way. As bad as the Beal going in with Beal, the Lakers trading KCP and Kuzma for Russell Westbrook is still one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen. A piece that just didn't fit when you don't need a 3rd star. No one has ever needed a 3rd star. Like, if you look at those Miami Heat teams, the big 3, Bosh played like an elite role player. Not that Bosh was an elite role player, he had to play like a role player. Kevin Love became a role player. Never has a big 3 worked out where one of the big 3 didn't sacrifice and basically become a role player. And there's no need to do that. Like, for example, what they needed Westbrook to be in LA was a really good defender, someone who could take a little bit of the scoring load, average 13 to 15 points a game, and do it efficiently. They needed Westbrook to be KCP. That's literally what they needed. They gave up Caruso as well. Like, it just made no sense. And if you're Phoenix, what do you need Bradley Beal to be? What Chris Paul was last year. Basically, yeah. You need Bradley Beal to be what Chris Paul is. You just don't need a big freaking 3. It doesn't work. The only time where there's been 3 like stars that fit seamlessly was Golden State. And that's an exception. All the other teams, if you look since then, have either been teams, or let's look at even from 2010 onwards. 2010, Los Angeles Lakers, you had a very clear 1-2 in Kobe and Pau, with guys like Ron, Lamar Odom, and Andrew Bynum around them. Derek Fisher, good team. 2011, you had Dirk as a clear number 1. They had a lot of other options. 2012, Chris Bosh basically became a role player. Chris Bosh took a step back and became a role player. Whereas in 2011, he was obviously taking more shots. 2013, the exact same situation. Heck, Dwayne Wade even took a step back in 2013. 2014, the Spurs was the Spurs. 2015 was very clearly... Like, Iguodala took a step back because he was one of their best players the previous year. Clay, Steph, and the role players. 2016, Kyrie, LeBron, the role players. 2017, 18, an exception. 2019, heck, that was Freddie VanVleet and Kawhi Leonard. Freddie VanVleet stepping up big time in those finals. 2020, LeBron AD. 2021, Chris Middleton, Giannis. 2022, Steph Curry and offensively just Steph Curry and others. Wiggins was really good in that series. 2023, Jokic, Jamal Murray. A big 3 where all 3 guys have not adapted their game and played exactly like they did before and all try to be number 1 options has never worked in the history of basketball. Why do teams keep thinking it's working? And I'm so glad the Suns absolutely suck because other teams are not going to be dumb enough to do what the Lakers and the Suns have done over the last few years. Incredibly dumb moves. So teams have tried this. Teams have tried to make these big 3s before. And if you want to say Boston, Ray Allen took a back seat in Boston, and so did Kevin Garnett. Like, Kevin Garnett became He became more of a defensive player than an offensive player when he went to Boston. It is the dumbest way of building a team. And I'm so happy the Suns have flamed out so badly. Teams aren't going to be dumb enough to do it again. But you know what? The Lakers are going to be dumb enough to do it again. As they're going to trade all their role players and try to get a third star for LeBron and AD, and they're going to be even worse next year than they are this year. So that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.